Hello, I am Jerome, and today I will be explaining the concept of calculation of volume by the Shellman. As we already know, the volume of a cylinder is equal to 2 pi r h. We will be using this formula as a foundation to find out the volume by the Shellman. To decide which version of the shell method to use, you must first find out whether you will be revolving around the y-axis or the x-axis. When revolved around the y-axis, you must use the dx form, which is going to be the integral from a to b of 2 pi x times f of x minus g of x dx. So right here, you will see that the radius is going to be x, the radius for the volume, which is going to be the volume, and the height will be f of x minus g of x. The f of x is chosen because it is the top minus the bottom. The f of x is the top, the g of x is the bottom. And as you can see here, the function is from a to b on a closed interval. Now, there's another thing, which is when you revolve it around the x-axis. Then you will use the dy form, which is the integral from a to b of 2 pi y times 5 of y minus g of y dy. When this graph is revolved around the x-axis, it creates a cylinder. The cylinder has a radius of y and a height of f of y minus g of y. Since you are now using the dy form, instead of using top minus bottom, which is going to be used, you're going to use the right minus left form. The right, which is f of y, minus the left, which is g of y, as you can see here. Now we will begin with our first example, which is y equals square root of x minus, and y equals x cubed. And it will be revolved around the x-axis. Here is a graph showing what will happen. The closed function will be from a, which is 0, to b, which is 1. When revolved, note, since we are revolving around the x-axis, we must change the x's into y's. X will equal y squared, and x will equal y to the 1/3. The cylinder form will have a y, which will be the radius, and the h will be top minus bottom, which is y to the 1/3 minus y squared. Now we must solve using the shell method. First things, the volume equals the integral from a to b of 2 pi r h dy, which is saying that volume equals 2 pi times the integral from 0 to 1 of y times y to the 1/3 minus y squared dy. Then you distribute out the y, and it's going to be 2 pi, the integral from 0 to 1 of y to the 4/3 minus y cubed dy. Then you do the integral. It's going to be 2 pi of 3y to the 7/3 over 7 minus y to the 4th over 4 from 0 to 1. Which, now you substitute in the 1 and the 0. It's going to be 2 pi times 3 times 1 to the 7/3 over 7 minus 1 to the 4th power over 4. And that is going to be subtracted and then minus 0. Regularly, you do not put in the 0 but I'm putting it in to show the place that 0 still will be there, even though this won't be using the problem. Now you equal 2 pi. Now you simplify down the 1 and the other one. That's going to be 2 pi times 3 over 7 minus 1 over 4. We get them similar denominators, and it's going to be 2 pi times 12 over 28 minus 7 over 28. Simplify that down. It's going to be 2 pi times 5 over 28, which gives you 10 pi over 28. Simplify it to the answer of 5 pi over 14. And that will be the volume. Now for the second example, which is going to be y equals 3 minus x, y equals 0, and x equals 0. And it will be revolved this time around the y-axis. This is a graph of what is given. The 0, the y equals 0, x equals 0, and the y equals 3 minus x. Now we must solve for the volume by the Shelby, which is going to be from a to b 2 pi r h dx, which can be changed into one substituted in the variable is going to be 2 pi from 0 to 3 of x times 3 minus x minus the 0, which is going to, the 0 is basically just the x-axis, and also it is the y equals 0. And this is a classic form of top minus bottom. And as you can see here, line is the top, the x-axis, which is 0, is the bottom. Now, onto next. Now you cancel out the 0, and it's going to be 2 pi from 0 to 3 of x times 3 minus x dx. Then you distribute the x, and it's going to be 2 pi from 0 to 3 of 3x minus x squared. Now you finally do the integration. It's going to be 2 pi times 3x squared over 2 minus x cubed over 3 from 0 to 3. Next, you do 2, now you substitute in the 3 and the 0. It's going to be 2 pi times 3 times 3 squared over 2 minus 3 cubed over 3 minus the 0, which we just put there just to prove that it is 0. Next, you simplify. It's going to be 2 pi times 27 over 2 minus 27 over 3. Now you make common denominators. It's going to be 2 pi times 81 over 6 minus 54 over 6, which is going to turn out to be 2 pi times 287 over 6, which is 54 pi over 6, which simplifies to the final answer of 9 pi, which is the volume of the rotating region, which is going to be from a cylinder. And just to prove that you are still using the 2 pi r h formula for the volume of the cylinder form, the radius is x, and the height is top minus bottom, 3, which is 3 minus x minus 0. Thank you, I'm Jerome Jr., and this has been my explanation of calculation of volume by Shelby.